Hi there, Bill from Poliigon here. In this video you'll learn how to make use of Blender's displacement and adaptive subdivision features. When combined you're able to create detailed three-dimensional materials for your scenes. We'll be making use of Ground Tire Track 001, which is another free material, so go ahead and download it so you can follow along. I'll include a link at the bottom. Over in Blender we have another simple scene setup, again just a plane and a HDR environment for lighting, so let's head over to the material converter and find our downloaded tire tracks material. But before importing it, let's head over to the advanced settings and enable Use Micro Displacements. Now with the plane selected, let's hit Load and Apply. We're not seeing any displacement right away, but enabling that little checkbox took several steps out of the process for us. It automatically set Blender to experimental mode, and it added in a subdivision modifier to our target object. You'll notice the subdivision has smoothed out our simple plane into a circle. We can quickly fix this by changing the subdivision mode to simple. So, to see our displacement, all we need to do is increase the displacement strength from the material node group. Once we do that, we'll start to see our displaced material. The mid-level displacement is used to raise and lower the displaced material as a whole and is useful for blending materials and getting a displaced plane to match the rest of your scene. I'll be covering this more in the next video. Before wrapping this video up though, I wanted to quickly cover the settings associated with adaptive subdivision, as it's typically a balance between visual quality, render times, and system resources. Let's jump over to our main render panel and open the subdivision section. You'll see two values for dicing rate, one for render and one for preview. Preview being the one you see in the viewport. These are multipliers for the setting in our modifier, which we'll jump to in a moment. Now, with these default settings, the amount of geometry created will be 8 times less in the viewport compared with the actual render when you hit F12. I typically set this down to 2 instead, as it gives me a better idea of what the final result will look like. Then, if we head over to our modifier panel, you can see our subdivision has a dicing rate of 1. The higher we make this value, the less geometry will be created, but it will also render faster and use up less memory. If I set this to something really high, like 50, you'll see the geometry and visual quality dropping considerably. However, at a value of 1, with a camera quite close to a plane, it could take several gig of memory to render, perhaps even more, so use these settings wisely. Once you properly get to grips with these settings, the two you need to focus on for making adjustments are the strength of the displacement, which you can edit in the material shader, and the amount of geometry that is created by the adaptive subdivision. In the next video, I'll be covering how to combine multiple materials, as well as dealing with texture repetition on larger areas.